takes a little bit over that hill, it's going to push this bait in from open water. It's going to suck them in a little bit, and you'll see a little bit more boils right when the sun comes up right here. Out of 30 years throwing swim baits, this technique right here of slow rolling has probably put more fish over 10 pounds in the boat than all other techniques. And like I said, to this day, I still have not seen, in 30 years watching guys swim baits, I haven't seen not a handful of guys fish even a topwater this slow, you know, consistently. They've got it down now with some of the nice plastic swim baits out there, slow rolling across the bottom. You know, guys have figured out that same technique, the super slow roll. Caught monster fish crawling across the bottom. Top of the surface, the top of the water column is no different than the bottom of the ground. It's another place that they can eat against. Air technically is just as hard as the bottom of the structure underneath the water, so it's just another feeding plate. But for topwater, like I said, you're going to see guys out here running the banks, throwing topwater, and they're going to be fishing as fast as they can for even stripers. And surprisingly, the stripers. Oh, look at the boil on that sucker. Oh, the stripers are keyed in sometimes on even the slower moving baits than more fast moving. Come on. See, this is how we roll in California when we get ready to film. Rainy, overcast, great fishing conditions for 2 weeks. Show up with the camera. Bluebird skies, post frontal, flat calm. You guys are good, man. There's a lot of other things going on too, guys, here. The weird part is we're kind of targeting stripers right now. If I was going to come up and throw a swim bait for largemouth, I preach a lot of the one cast concept. Largemouth are a different little predator, you know, where they're more structured, cover oriented. They really like eating up against stuff, against the funnels. Stripers are more nomadic. So in this spot, if I was hitting a bass, I'd hold the boat a little bit different, make 1 or 2 casts. I'd probably leave the spot. Stripers, they're gonna run this open water and you're gonna throw 20 times, and you know, the next cast after that, you might hook up with the 40-pounder. So the techniques and the amount of time that you spend on certain fish change a little bit for the species, but the way you fish these baits, you know, they won't change much. Like I said, you put a topwater on and you learn to super slow roll it and just keep your rod tip pointed at the bait and be ready. And if you feel just the slightest tick sweep into that fish, you're gonna catch a lot more fish right off the bat. We had a little bit more wind here, or just a little bit overcast. It increased that bite a little bit, but we could still make it happen. We're going to talk a little bit about the gear we're using. Early this morning, first thing, we were the first boats on the water. We ran over to the point. We were throwing the floater 8-inch BBZ1 in the SilverFish, one of my favorite colors. We paired it up with the Lamiglas Big Bait Special, Shimano Calcutta 400, and 25-pound test Maxima line. You're going to see in this part, this cutaway, you're going to see a close-up of how slow I actually reel this bait. Pay attention to that. A lot of people fish their baits way too fast. Cradle the rod in your hand, put the rod tip down towards the water, and you want to go this slow. You want to take it nice and slow. You want it just fast enough to make that bait swim. We did show a couple other little cutaways on fishing it against bluff walls and stuff. Think about that when you're fishing this bait. This is just for the floater, but we have the slow sink and fast sink. So make sure that, depending on the situation and what you see at your lake, that you pick up the right tool, the right equipment to throw it, and try to create a funnel. Try to make the bait come into something and do a directional change, and you're going to see a lot more fish in your boat. Test it here. They're eating 1-inch bait. I want to give it a little try too. We're going to talk about this a little bit later today, but it's one of my secret rigs I've been doing for years. finally got let out, the cat's out of the bag. But that new little 2.5 I made for Spro this year has been catching a lot of fish. A little bit later in the technique parts of it, we're going to break it down. I'm going to show you some cool way to rig it, and hopefully today we'll catch some fish doing some stuff out of the box. Before 40 boats get over in the rock quarry, that's going to be our next shot of pulling some magic off. Man, there's a fish. Oh, nice fish on a little double rig. Little 2.5. There's these neat little tricks that you could do with these, and when there's this much bait out there, a lot of times just using one little bait, it's hard to target these fish to make them commit.